The Chinese tech giant Tencent has reported a 90% increase in profits in the year 2024 as China goes all out to generate growth from innovation.
Total revenue rose 11% year-on-year, thanks to an increase in gaming and advertising incomes. Tencent's profits were also boosted by artificial intelligence. It's released 2 new models recently. Hunyuan 3D 2.0 can turn text or images into 3D graphics. And Turbo S is designed to answer user queries as quickly as possible. But expansion into AI came with a sharp increase in spending. Tencent spent over $10.6 billion last year, more than triple what it spent in 2023. The tech giant says servers and chips were the big expenses. Rob Kniaz is from the tech venture capital firm Hoxton Ventures. Good to see you back on the programme, Rob. Thank you for joining us. So why has Tencent done so well?
I think they're riding the same wave of AI that pretty much every big tech company is riding right now. They were a bit later to the curve, and I think the AI wave hadn't really hit China until the past few months, but they're right in the middle of the storm right now where the customers are pouring in.
So artificial intelligence clearly a factor in Tencent's success, not just for Tencent though. How important is AI in the success of Chinese tech companies more broadly?
I think it's a global question, and AI is going to affect every business around the world in different ways, and it's sort of a wave of adoption right now as countries have the money and resource to start adopting it. China was probably a bit late in that regard, but now they're catching up, and they're in the thick of it, where you're seeing companies being applied, companies starting up every day, and of course when you're in a land grab, the benefit goes to the guys selling the picks and shovels, which are the Tencent, and those with the cloud products.
What about supply, though? We know that demand for the kind of products that Tencent makes is there, but are there still questions about Tencent and other companies meeting that increasing demand?
Yeah, it comes down to the GPU, the kind of central processing unit that's used for AI. And that's a zero-sum game where there's manufacturers in Taiwan that are pushing out as many chips as they can. They're subject to export controls where they can't necessarily put the best chips on the market in China. So China's kind of coming from a place of an underdog and having access to the right materials. I think it is zero-sum. I think the Chinese are clever and will find ways around it, like we saw with DeepSeek. They're able to do it with lower powered chips and write more efficient software, basically. So I think the pool is there and the market will find a way.
Well, I want to do a bit of a preview of something we're going to talk a bit more about on the programme in a moment, which is NVIDIA. They have, of course, been at the forefront of the kind of technology used in AI. They're now going to launch new kinds of chips. What does that mean for Chinese companies and companies like DeepSeek?
I think what NVIDIA is doing is segmenting their market so they can target what customers specifically need. So if you think about a regular graphics card, there's a lot of features in that a machine learning expert doesn't really need. So when you think of things like the onboard RAM of the card, I think they're going to do a lot more segmentation to try and find ways of meeting the customer needs in a more targeted way. You saw this with the chips that DeepSeek used. They were sort of neutralized chips versus the ones sold in the US, but they were still quite powerful. There were certain things that were disabled in them, but they were able to work around them to get the result they needed. So I think it's more of that, where you're taking the animal and carving up all the pieces and trying to make dinner with every bit you can.
Rob, great to talk to you again. Thanks for coming back on the programme. That's Rob Kniaz from venture capital firm Hoxton Ventures.